Torna Fem Ciència, una sèrie fonamental per repensar el feminisme, la història i la cultura científica. Avui parlarem amb Fatemeh Ahmadi, comissària del Museu Nacional Iraní sobre Història de les Ciències Mèdiques. Els seus àmbits d'estudi es centren en l'estudi de col·leccions universitàries, sobretot especialitzades a la medicina. També es dedica a preparar exhibicions temporals i a realitzar visites guiades. És membre d'ICOM des de 2008 i ha establert connexions amb nombrosos museus nacionals i internacionals. És la història de la ciència i la tecnologia sexista?
And Iran related to medicine history, women and men. It is better to say that it should not be like this. However, due to a specific geographical and religious conditions at a time in the history of Middle East, which includes Iran, women benefited less from education. There is no men in the medical history of Iran.
Com s'hauria de commemorar la ciència? Què n'opines del Dia Internacional de la Dona i la Nena a la Ciència?
Actually, the answer of this question includes many aspects. We can take, for example, the birthday of influential women in the history of medicine, or the day when a certain medicine entered the medical cycle for the first time. Or the date when a medical center was opened by a woman. However, as it is known, choosing the day out of 365 days is one of the important aspects of this work.
Quines històries podem trobar al museu on treballes? Què ens diuen sobre la cultura material d'Iran?
In medical history museum, we hold the world's first operated scale of 13 years old there, with as well as and other thing, mummified body of a 65-year-old 900 years ago in central of Iran. Likewise, in the Medical History Museum, we have a skull belonging to a 30-year-old woman who she had 32 healthy teeth. So you can see that in the first room of our museum, we keep a large number of historical women who have a potential to study the history of medicine.
Quines característiques fan que un objecte es mostri en el vostre museu?
Actually, artifacts are placed in this museum that are either a part of Iran's medical history or explains the process of medical history. For example, we have 40 samples of human skulls that are of interest in terms of anthropology. We have a number of anthropological works related to ancient medicine, actually. And we keep a large number of manuscripts, for example, between 1000 or 200 years ago. As well as the first modern medical tools such as surgery, sarcology, veterinary medicine, and ophthalmology that are obsolete. In the Medical History Museum, in a group 10 people, we decide which work are relevant to the medical history of Iran. So we display and we decide to keep in our museum.
Què podem observar o aprendre sobre la transmissió i adaptació dels coneixements mèdics de diferents cultures a partir dels instruments?
Definitely yes. In part of our museum, we have displayed cave paintings that 40,000 years ago, the painting of these caves that happened in the west of Iran is similar to the painting that happened in the Lascaux cave in France and Altamira in Spain. We have some painting from your caves in our museum just for photo because of they are close to each other. And likewise, we have a number of pottery vessels between 5,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago, which can be traced almost in the most of civilized countries. Therefore, similar points can be observed and researches in the history of medical science.
On creus que els objectes científics o mèdics es relacionen amb el llegat de les dones? En teniu alguna exposició?
It's really not possible. Services of women in the medical history of Iran, especially in Middle East, especially in Iran countries. Perhaps it is better to say that apart from a few limited cases, we have practically had no women with a name in this field until about 150 years ago. Women's education was a big challenge in this, but we are as women, we can change the history. But as a case in point, Europe and America was very important for Middle East countries during the same challenging times, and returned to the country with a bag of experience and knowledge and did many services. On the other hand, let's not forget that the traditional in Middle East country, especially in Iran, while science may be progressing everywhere in the world, women role. The few women who managed to get an education really had a great impact on serving the people, such as Dr. Badri Taimur, the first female who was the first social education and family planning, for example, pregnant or not, and who was first become a nurse and then a doctor and surgeon. Due to the special educational condition in Iran first, and then return to Iran. This is the reason why the Iran does not have famous women in the field of medical history as much as Europe. In order to answer the second part of your question, I must say that yes, these people and their services are enough that we can have a special exhibition for them, a special and I think a wonderful exhibition we can have for them.
Quin paper tenen els museus a l'hora de motivar a dones i nenes?
Yes, I think existence of exhibition with the theme of women's activities first in the history of medicine, showing the hardship that the doctors had to endure the previous years to study in order to achieve their noble goal of treating patients can greatly help to make women and girls interested in the field of medicine. During the COVID-19 prosperity of museum in Iran, in my opinion, the reason could be that working in a museum generally a woman's job and required a lot of patience, I think. In the days when many men were disappointed with the health status of society, many women started virtual museums and guided tours with a limited number of museums. So the women could be helpful in the COVID-19 in my country.
Què creus que gran part del patrimoni material d'Iran es trobi en altres països? S'hauria de retornar?
Definitely, yes, we have. I have traveled to many medical museums because of my interest in medical history, including for example, Philippines, China, Japan, Germany, Italy, France. In each of these countries, I have seen traces of Iranian medical history. I saw a copy of Ibn Sina book in German museum. Yes, I saw many examples of history of medicine in sample in China's museum, medical China museum, for example, saffron plant. I didn't have visited Spain medical museum yet. In future, I hope I can visit your museums. As a curator, I have no insistence on returning to the works to my country, as long as these works represent my country and history in other countries. They are enough for me, actually. So I do not interest to return them to Iran.
Ets membre d'ICOM. Quina és la teva relació entre el museu on treballes i els altres museus?
I'm a member of ICOM. In particular, I do general research in academic museum and specialized research in medical museums. From about 12 years ago until now, I have studied 25 university museums with different subjects in my country. Some of them are medical universities museum. Currently, I am going to add 3 more medical university museum. Some of them are contact with many medical museum and many university museum around the world. I am constantly interacting and making connections, and I am still comparing domestic and international examples. I follow the news of the museum, and I believe that every experience can be an important step for me in improving the goals of the museum. So I just use this member for connection and improving my museum.
Leili Mamnun Fatemeh. Aquest ha estat el tercer episodi de la tercera temporada de Fem Ciència. No us perdeu el següent. Fins aviat!